Hi everyone. Hi Mehak. So we'll wait for a couple of minutes for a few more people to join in and then we'll get started. Till then, this is the reference image of what I'll be painting today. It's a bookmark, landscape bookmark. So we'll paint this today using poster colors. If you don't have poster colors, that's also fine. You can use gouache or acrylic paints or whatever medium you have available. You can do that. Hi everyone. Hi Pragya. Sure, I'll pin my idea. Just give me a minute. Meanwhile, just introduce yourselves in the chat. Okay, I've pinned my ID. So my ID is more than mandalas. Hi, sprinkling colors. Hi, Maitri. Okay, so I guess we can get started. So I'll go over the materials once and then we'll start painting. So you'll be requiring a jar of water. I have this with me, and if needed you can keep one extra jar of water to clean your brushes off. Then I'll be using these brushes. So this is a flat brush size 8, then a round brush size 0 for detailing like the grass and the leaves, and this is a flat brush size 2. Right, so these 3 brushes I'll be using today, and I'll be using watercolor paper from MENORAH. I've cut it into a bookmark shape, so it's like a usual bookmark shape, 2.5 inches by 7 inches I think, so you can do that. And I'll be using poster colors from Camlin. I have these over here. So I'll be using poster colors, but you're free to use any medium you have available. It's not necessary to use poster colors. You can use gouache or acrylics or watercolors even. And yeah, I'm using this MDF board so that I don't ruin my table. Hi Navya. Okay, so shall we get started then? Let me know in the chat box or comment section if you're ready with the materials and excited to start off. Oh yeah, and I also forgot I'll be using my palette. I have this round clear acrylic sheet which I'll be using as my palette. It's dirty from before, but you can use any palette you have available. It's not necessary to use this. Hi Angela. Okay, so we'll get started. I'll be using, first I'll go through the colors that I'll be using. So I'll be using Prussian Glue poster color. Then I'll be using this peacock blue, or you can use a light blue shade, and white for the top part of the sky that we have, the bluish shade. And then as we go down, I'll be turning into the shades of yellow. Right, so let's start off with these 3. I'll repeat again: Prussian Glue, white, and any light blue shade that you have available. Right, okay, so let's start with Prussian Glue first. I'll grab my size 8 flat brush. We're using watercolor paper and poster colors. I'll go over the brushes as we use them. So first of all, I'm taking this size 8 flat brush. Any synthetic brush you can take. I dip it into water and wipe off the excess water, and then I take some Prussian glue. Right, I take some Prussian glue on my palette, and I'll go in this motion right? So I'll apply the Prussian glue like this and just go over it once again if you feel that it's a little transparent. I'm using poster colors. I wash off my brush now and I take the light blue shade that we have. So I'm using peacock blue from this set. If anyone has this, they can use that. And I'll mix this with the Prussian glue that we took on our palette to create a transitional shade. So I mix this with the Prussian glue that we had, and in the same way like we applied this Prussian glue, I'll go again and apply this blue, and I'll move my brush back and forth to blend this. So just remember to move your brush back and forth to blend the shade. If you think that the Prussian glue has dried off, you can take some water into your brush and reactivate it again, because poster colors, they are water-based medium, so you can reactivate them using water. Now I take this light blue shade again and I further mix it into the shades that we had on our palette. You see, I'm creating the lighter tone as we move down of the blue shade. So I apply this again and the same thing, move my brush back and forth to blend it. So my paint was still wet when I applied the lighter shade. That's why you see this blend has come out to be very smooth. So just take care that the shade is not dry. If it's dry, then use some water in your brush. Don't use a lot of water, otherwise you won't have this opaque consistency of the colors. So I'm washing my brush now and wiping it off on a rough cloth. So my brush is dry now. Also feel free to drop in any questions that you have. I'll try to answer as many as possible. Now I'm taking white poster color on my same size 8 flat brush, and I mix it with the shade that we had to create a lighter blue shade. You see, this is the shade that I created by adding white, right? So I feel it's a bit dry, so I dip my brush in water and I mix it. So I'll take this shade and I'll apply it again. And in a similar way, I'll blend it by moving my brush back and forth. Just try not to take the lighter shade really up into the gradient that you've created, otherwise you can see some visible strokes. So just go up to the place that you feel it started to blend. If I take this lighter shade all the way up here, it would be a bit weird because the gradient would not be perfect then. So just try not to move it really up into the sky. Now I take some more white, just white, and I apply it and mix it. So that's it for the blue shades. Now we will switch to the yellow part of the sky. So it's a sunset scene, so the sky is blue from the top, and as we go down we see the sun setting, so it becomes yellowish. Now I'm using poster colors, I'm not using acrylics. Okay, are you guys with me till here? Please let me know in the comment section if I can proceed, or if anyone is painting along with me. I can wait for you to catch up. Let me know in the comment section. Yes, poster colors work like gouache only. I really don't know the difference between poster colors and gouache, but I feel gouache is a little bit more opaque and thicker in consistency as compared to poster colors. But to me, the result of them is similar only. So I think both of them would be fine. If you're using gouache or poster colors, doesn't matter. What do you mean by base? The paper? You can buy brushes from Camlin or Faber-Castell. They work really well for beginners and I still use them. You can go for Brewster as well. Brewster brushes are also good. The Titleon ones. These long handle brushes from Brewster. So these are also good. Okay, so I'll proceed. I'm taking lemon yellow now. Lemon yellow poster color. I take some of it in my flat brush. Take it on my palette. And now I take some white. So remember, I'm transitioning, so I don't just apply the yellow directly. I mix it with some white and then apply it on my paper. So I mix the yellow with white and create this lighter shade. I'm using a watercolor paper over here, 300 GSM. So you can use that, or you can use 250 GSM as well. I think that also works, but don't go below that, otherwise your paper would be wrinkly when you paint. So I'm taking this yellow shade that we created by mixing with white and I apply it similar to what we have done till now. And you see that this transition is not proper. So what we'll do is we'll take some white and we'll blend it in. So I'm taking some white and I move my brush back and forth to blend it. I wash my brushes with water and then I wash them with soap, normal regular soap that we have. I wash them with soap and then I clean it with a cloth, tissue or cloth, you can use either of those. So now I'm taking this chrome yellow from the poster color set that I have on my flat brush, take it on my palette and I apply it like this. So I'm washing my brush because I feel that this consistency is more water and less paint, and if I blend it right away it would not look good. So I wipe my brush off, see it's dry, and then I blend in by moving my brush back and forth. So that's it for the sky. We'll move on to the water part. So let me know if you guys are done. We have to do a similar thing down. We'll not start with the Prussian Glue. We'll start with Prussian Glue and the light blue mixed shade that we created here in between. We'll start with that. So I'm taking some Prussian Glue. And some light blue. And I mix those. And then I start from the bottom. I hope you're able to see my screen. So the way that we proceeded here, we'll go in a similar way. Blue first, then some white mixed into the shade that we just applied. Blend it in. Oops. Sorry. Yeah. Blend it. that this is getting lighter, just take some Prussian glue and apply it. Again, blend it. I add like 1 drop or 2 max drops of water because I feel the paint is dry and it won't blend in. But if you feel that it's like the consistency of paint is like more paint and less water, I don't think you need to add water. So you see, I'll just show you. If you see on my palette, this is dry, so this won't blend in. So I just touch my brush in water and just mix it in, so that when I blend in on my paper, the shade blends in right away. So I took some white again and I'm gonna blend it. I'm doing the same thing that we just did, transitioning the shades from blue, darker shades of blue to yellow. I take white again and I mix it because now we are going to mix the yellow. I hope I'm able to answer your questions. Please feel free to ask them again if I missed them out. So I'm taking the yellow and I apply it. And if you feel that you're mixing yellow with blue, don't do that. Just take white and save the shade, because if you mix yellow with blue, it will create a green shade. So the interim shade here would be white, to not allow mixing of yellow and blue. So I add white in between and then I blend. So I felt that this got a bit lighter, so I'm just adding some darker shades and blending again. Because it's poster color, you can go over it again. So if your paper pops out, that means that either you have added a lot of water or your paper is thin. So could you help me out with what paper you're using? Maybe I can help you out better, Drishti. Khadi paper is another type of paper. It's, I think, handmade and it has some texture. You can use that as well for watercolors and gouache. Right now I'm using watercolor paper from MENORAH. It's 300 GSM. So you can use that. You can use my code PANKHURI5 to get a discount if you want to purchase that. I'm using Camlin poster colors. Poster colors from Camlin. Thank you, Sprinkling Colors. Drishti, just let me know what kind of paper you're using. I'll be able to help you out better. Okay, let me know if you're here with me. And if you were able to reach at this stage, or let me know if you want me to wait for you or proceed. Help me out in the comment section. Till then I can show you what shade I'm mixing. So the yellow that I took on my palette, whatever was left of it, I mixed some orange into it. Orange poster color. I mixed that into the yellow that we had on our palette. And I'm taking it in my flat brush size 2. This is a flat brush. I'm taking yellow plus orange in that. This is the reference pic that we are creating. wooden base, but I doubt that poster colors would stay on wooden base. They would wash out with water. Okay, so I'm taking the orange and yellow shade that I created and I'll create some clouds over here. So flat brush size 2, just with a light hand, create some outlines for the clouds with your flat brush. Don't worry about anything right now, we'll blend it later on. So just create some outlines right now. I'm just dabbing my brush in some areas to create that cloud line. Just some fine lines would also do. Don't worry about the blending right now. We'll blend it in a while. Hi Shan. So this is it. Now what I do is just look at this really carefully. Once I've applied my orange color on the paper, I wash my brush and I really dry it out. Like I wipe off the excess of water on a piece of cloth or tissue and my brush is dry. Okay, what I do now is I just move my brush like this on the shades that I just applied and just extend it off a bit, so that it doesn't seem like the color has just been put on paper. It seems like it's blended. So I'm just moving my brush round manner or whatever you like to blend it a little bit. So a prereq for this is that the shade that you just applied, it needs to have a little amount of water in it, because right now my brush is dry and if the paint is also dry, I don't think it would blend. So I'm just moving my brush, it's dry like this, to create an effect of clouds. That's it. You can create some more on top if you like. So this is how we create the clouds. I'll wait for a few minutes to answer any questions you have and for anyone who's painting along with me to catch up till here, and then we'll proceed. Thank you, artist girl. What is the difference between poster and gouache colors? Okay, so there's really not much difference according to me. But poster colors, I think that the consistency of poster colors, it is a bit thinner than gouache. Gouache are thicker. And I think like with gouache, if you want to have a watercolory effect, you have to make some amount of water. Otherwise, you can just paint right away. And like the same thing is true with poster colors. There's not really much difference. So maybe I'm not the right person to ask that, but according to me, they are similar. One more thing with gouache paints is like you need gouache and poster colors both is that you need the previous layer to dry off first before you proceed with the next layer. Otherwise, the shades would blend. Like if I add water here, this blue would start to get reactivated, and if I apply orange, it would create a third shade. So just wait for the previous layer to dry off first and then apply the second layer. Alright, I'll show you the blending on a really small piece of paper. Okay. So suppose we are blending Prussian glue and light blue. So I take Prussian glue first. I apply it. Right. Now I wash my brush, wipe off the water, and I take my lighter shade, that is light blue. Okay, I take this lighter shade, I apply it, and then I move my brush back and forth to blend it. Right. Then I go from top to bottom once it has blended to make sure that the transition is even. So that's how you blend. Just take any two shades that you have, apply them and move your brush back and forth to blend them. Make sure that your brush is damp, not dry nor wet. It should be damp, and by damp I mean that dip it in water once and wipe off the excess of water. Then I think you can blend in perfectly. I hope it helps. I am just washing my brush like this. I mean, there's no special technique for that. Okay, I think we can proceed now. Now we just have to create silhouettes of the trees and the mountains. So we don't need any other colors. We just need black. Just give me a minute. I'll close all my colors and open black up. Till then, we can answer any questions that you guys have. Thank you. Oh, okay. I'll keep white open to create the sun. Rest of them I'll just close. Okay, so I'm taking black color now. And I'm taking flat brush size 2, taking off the black color on my palette, mixing a small amount of water because the paint is thick, and I'll create the mountains now. So there's no special thing here, just create an outline of the mountain first, create the baseline and fill it in. So this is another mountains that is in the front and above the water surface. So I'm just taking the black shade, creating the outlines first and just filling it in. Corners, I have a paper cutter that cuts round edges for a paper. I got it on Amazon. I'll just show you, give me a minute. So this is what I use to cut the edges of my paper. It cuts round edges of your sheet. Okay. Now we'll make the stones and the grasses. So I'll still use this flat brush size 2 that I have to make the rest of the things. I'll create this outline first at the bottom, fill it in. Now make sure you don't apply too much water, otherwise you'll blend it off with the previous layer. So just take paint over here. Okay, another outline and then fill it in, some stones in between. You can use a round brush for this step if you want. It's not necessary to use a flat brush. Okay, now once we've done this, what I'll do is I'll let it dry off, and meanwhile we can create the grass. I'll take my round brush, size 0 round brush, and take some black paint in it, and we'll create the grass. So I'm just taking this round brush and creating a few strokes using it with a really light hand. Just don't press it really hard. So it's like pressure from down until the point you move up, you release your brush. So that's how you get a grass which is thinner at the top and thicker at the bottom. So make sure that you don't apply a lot of pressure while creating the grass, otherwise you won't get thin lines. So really light hand and fine strokes is how we create the grass. The pressure has to be applied at the bottom part and not the top part. I have pinned my Insta handle. It's more than mandalas. So yeah, so we'll create the grass like this, and since I have my round brush, I can create a few small stones and pebbles here in between, which I was not able to create using the flat brush. Right, and now comes the part where we have to make the bushes. So I'm making it slightly different than what we have in the reference image. So it's like a half cut tree. So a few branches are coming from that side. We make branches using our round brush size 0. That's it. And now we make the leaves. No, I'm not using Brewster miniature brushes, but you can use those. I'm using a round brush from Della Rowney. Any size 0 or size 1 round brush would do. And now I'll create the leaves. So I'm just adding a few dots and strokes like this to create the leaves. So I'll zoom it in a bit so that you guys can understand. A few lines which gives us the effect of the leaves on the tree from a distance. I'll add it at a few random places so that it doesn't seem weird. Please feel free to ask any questions that you have in between. We have a few more minutes left before we end the session, and we are about to complete this. So we can take up a Q&A session for about 5-10 minutes if some time is left. So I'll make it a little bit dense towards this side and lesser leaves as we move towards the right hand side. So I'll just fill in this with black color, and as we move towards the right hand side, I'll add a few strokes which gives us the impression of a few leaves. And we are almost done. Just one more detail we have to add and then we are done. So that's for the tree. I have not done the reflection yet. I'm about to do that. So this part has dried out, so it won't mess with the reflections that we are about to create. For the reflections, I am taking the blue color that I had on my palette, whatever is left of it. I'm just taking that on my flat brush, size 2, and I'll create a few lines like this beneath the stones. I hope it's visible. Beneath the stone silhouettes that we have created, I'll create a few blue color strokes to give an impression of the reflection. So don't add water to this, otherwise it will mess up with the black color and give you a different color like here I just did. So that's it. I'm using whatever blue was left on my palette, nothing new. So it's essentially white and Prussian blue and light blue. So to make it simple, a shade which is darker than these shades so that it's visible when you apply the reflections. And we are done. So we are done with our landscape bookmark. I hope you guys were able to catch on. One last thing is left, sorry. We'll just take in the white shade and create a sun. So I'll just dip my round brush in white. And I'll create a small sun over here. That's it. Now we are done. Okay, so I guess we have a few minutes left and I can take up any questions that you guys have. We'll let this dry till then. And maybe I can show you this on a cleaner surface. So this is what we have created. Yes, this live will be saved as an IGTV on MENORAH Stationery's channel. So you can see there. Thank you. Okay, we have some time, so ask away any questions that you have regarding gouache, poster colors or acrylics or landscapes. And I'll try to answer as many as possible. If I'm not, you can ping me on my Insta handle. It's more than mandalas. I've pinned it. And DM me any question you have. I'll try to answer it. I have pinned my Instagram handle. It's more than mandalas. I am using poster colors from Camel. I'm not using acrylic colors, but if you want to use acrylic colors, you can use Prussian Glue, white, aqua blue, yellow. Colors are poster colors from Camel and brushes are also from Camlin, Daler-Rowney and Brewstro. So I've used flat brushes, 2 flat brushes size 2 and 8. Size 2 and 8 flat brushes and 1 round brush. These are the 3 brushes that I've used. No, you shouldn't have any problem in blending on a bigger sheet of paper. Just try to do it in one stroke and move your brush back and forth. I'm using a 300 GSM paper. I'm using 300 GSM watercolor paper from MENORAH Stationeries. I'll just pin that too. Okay, I think I can't pin that. Okay. I hope you guys had fun and learned something new in this session. Okay, so this section would be saved as an IGTV on MENORAH Stationery's Instagram page. You can go and watch there and try this for yourself. If you give this a try, do tag me and MENORAH Stationeries, and I'd love to see you all give this a try. And if you have any questions, you can ping me on my Instagram handle. I will try to answer that. Now, I don't use different brushes for acrylic and poster colors. I use the same brushes. Like, these are synthetic brushes only, and I use the same ones for acrylics and poster colors or gouache. Okay, so that will be all for today. Thank you everyone for joining in. I hope you had fun and enjoyed. Do recreate this and tag me. I'd love to see them. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye everyone.